welcome to Ctrl Alt Deplete episode 39.
XD.
We are back.
Yep.
Your Bioshock has returned from his little mini vacation. He's returned another year older.
29.
And anyway, I am your host, Buckblind. On the left side of the screen and on the right side of the screen is Mr. Bioshock. 29-year-old Bioshock. Did you have a good time on your trip?
Yeah, it was short, but it was nice.
Yeah.
Well, it was a week, but it went by really quick, yeah.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Got a taste of our country, the good country.
I've visited more of the States than I have of Canada.
Right.
I've been to 2 provinces, and I've been to like 8 states.
Nice. I think I've been to about 13 or 14 states. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I've been to 0 provinces, though.
You're not missing much, man. It's cold.
Oh, hey, I guess I should have remembered to open up my show notes again after I rebooted. Let me pull these up real quick. Shouldn't take me but a second. There we go. Alright, so let's jump into the news here. The weekly affixes this week are Fortified, Entangling, and Bolstered, which is... Yeah, the Fortified, Entangling is fine. Bolstering, that's another affix we'd all would be fine with never having to deal with again.
Yeah.
But and next week, if they follow the pattern that we think they'll be following, next week should be Tyrannical, Incorporeal, and Spiteful. So that'll be let's see what day is that. That's May 7th is when those would start. So we shall see. But yes, season 4 is here. We have 1 week down. We're in week 2 now.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts so far? And I know you haven't done a ton because you're out of town, but what's your thoughts so far? Just on the weeklies, the dungeons, everything.
I've done 9, I think, in total. We're stuck in a funny rating right now with bad players. So I mean, so far I don't know, it's been hit or miss. We got a lot of people because it's deceiving now. Because you're like, oh wow, they're high-able. You're like 490. Well, it's not really high anymore, but my thought process going into it was like, oh, they're pretty high. Like they're gonna do damage. Like that lock we had that did 60k at like 498 or whatever. That was a little frustrating. Or Sheen Racer again.
Oh yes, we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah. Other than that, I like. I would say they're my favorite set of dungeons, but I don't mind them too much. But I'm sure that'll change with the higher keys and do some weird affixes on like Ruby Life Pools or something. Like Fortified Bullshit and Ruby Life Pool sounds terrible.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just it's okay.
Yep. I think the dungeons, of course, as we were talking about, dungeons aren't great. The Dragonflight dungeons, I don't think were a huge hit. Most of the dungeons, I would be fine with never seeing again.
Yeah.
I think Algathar is all right. Neltharis is all right. Most of the other,
okay.
Yeah, Brackenhide's not bad, but No Coup Defensive, I hate that dungeon so much. I don't know why. It's not really that hard of a dungeon. It's just a long dungeon. I think that's my biggest issues. I don't like the dungeons it's got a 40-minute timer on it. I don't anything over 35 minute timer, really 30-minute timer. Anything higher than that, I don't think is great. I think that was one of the things I really liked about season 3 was that when you and I, like week 1, when we started season 3, we were doing keys in like 15 minutes right off the bat, and we were doing like 13s, 14s pretty quickly. I think maybe even 15s right away, and we were doing them in 15 minutes, just 3 chests and no problem, just blowing through them. And I don't like when keys take 40-45 minutes to do, because it just sucks up your whole night and it doesn't feel like you're barely timing them. I had an Alderman that I missed by 1 minute, and then the next day Blizzard extended the timer on it by 1 minute. We missed it by 40 seconds. But it now is. I don't know if Raider IO is updated. Last I saw, they had not updated it yet, but Blizzard did update that to count as a timed key. So that was at least nice that they retroactively changed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did run into Racer. I don't know how many people would remember, but they're one of our episodes about a year ago. We had a Fury Warrior named Racer who was with us on a key early in the season. Really high item level, good gear.
He was like 390 something when we were like.
Well, he was 420. He was 420, and we had just started the season, and like 428 was the highest item level for the season. And he was 420 already, and we were like we were still like 390s. And we were like, all right, this Fury Warrior should pump. And they did about 20,000 DPS, and were the bottom. I mean, they were below, I think, even the healer. Half the time they just weren't even in range because they spent the whole time running around on the ground to avoid everything instead of trying to attack anything. And just spammed Whirlwind, had a terrible talent build. I tried to give them some advice, some help, and go over the rotation with them. And their response was that their talents in rotation weren't the problem. It very much was. So we went on a little rant of like, hey, if you're offered help, maybe, especially nowadays in WoW, most of the time somebody is playing that poorly. Typically, people just bash them, insult them, and then kick them from the group. But we're trying to be nice and offer some help, offer some tips, help them improve. And they weren't having it. The other day we had a tank queue up. The name was Racer, and we're like, whatever. I was like, hey, it's the same name as the other person. It was Racer. It's Racer, just jokingly. And then we looked it up, and it was the same person. And we thought, okay, well maybe they played tank, and they had done 18s the previous season. So in season 3, so like, okay, maybe they've improved. Maybe they're better as a prot warrior. So we gave them a shot, and nope, have not improved one bit, unfortunately. Their damage was like 50k. I almost out DPS'd them as a healer. Pretty much Bio was tanking the whole key as a devastation evoker. It was a rough key. For his gear, I think he was like 487. And to put it in perspective, on my tanks, my Demon Hunter at 487 doing 120, 130k DPS, and he was doing about 45, 50k DPS. Yeah. So, love you, Racer. I would love to help you out and learn stuff, but
you're just terrible.
Yeah, it's just you got to be willing to learn. That's a big thing. That's the biggest thing is you have if somebody's willing to teach you got to be willing to take the advice and try it out. Yeah. But whatever. But what about the weeklies? What do you think on the weeklies? How have they been so far? Because I know I was a bit concerned about the weeklies coming into this season because of how they had set them up. But what are your thoughts on them now we're on the second week and have gone through them a couple times?
You know what? They're easy. I like the second week more because it was like it weren't at the same time and like every half an hour or every hour, but like not overlapping.
Yep.
So you can get it all done in like half an hour, realistically, maybe 40 minutes, whatever. But
yeah,
week 2 has been easier to get them all done quickly, faster than week 1 was because you had to wait for Dragon Bane, however long that was.
2 hours, yeah. Dragon Bane Keep was every 2 hours. The feast is every hour and a half.
Yeah, so it's week 2's been better than week 1, but I mean week 1 wasn't terrible. I think they could definitely lower the time on Dragon Bane to 1 hour as well. It'd be nice.
Yes, definitely. I think the feast could also be lowered. But at least I will say with the feast, even though it's only every hour and a half, with the feast you can get 2 to 3 characters done at once on it, because if you just take 2-3 characters, park them at the end right there, and then the event starts, you jump on one, you get your and it depends even if you're wanting to do the full do 5 things to contribute, because you only need to contribute 1 time for the weekly. So technically if you don't care about doing the feast part of it, you could actually get 6-7 people done really quickly if you just do
Yeah.
one participation. But even if you're doing all 5, you can get. I know I've gotten it before. I've done 3 tunes in one feast, so it's not too bad that it's an hour and a half timer, just because
Yeah.
it's 15 minutes. Dragon's Bane Keep definitely should be lowered to an hour, just because it's done in 3 minutes. There is no opportunity to get more than one character every 2 hours done. So that's a little rough. But yeah, this week I think was well because you had um, the time rift, whatever it's called, and then the researchers assisting the researchers. Both those were hour. They're each an hour timer. However, the time rift is at the top of the hour, and the researchers is at the half-hour mark of each hour. So it's super easy. You start on 1, you do the time rift at the top of the hour, and then that's usually done in about 10 minutes. So then you got 20 minutes in between. Go do your suffusion mold thing to loot your crucible chest. That only taking about 5-10 minutes depending on how many people are there. Get that done in between. Then by that time you got 5-10 minutes left before the researchers start. Fly down to the Zerlet Cavern, go do the researchers. That takes about 10 minutes, and then you're done. It was really nice, and then you could just rotate and start on another character. I got I think I had all my characters done before the end of Thursday. I think I got home Wednesday, did a few in the morning on Wednesday. I think I had all 7, because I'm doing 7 tunes right now, is what I'm focusing on. I got all 7 of them done by Thursday afternoon, whereas I think week 1 I was working on them on Saturday. I was wrapping them all up on Saturday, so I think this week is a lot easier to knock out, but I don't think they've been as bad as I thought they were going to be, so that's nice. We'll see how it goes whenever week 7 hits, and it's going to be all 3 will be available to pick from, and you choose which one you want to do instead of right now it's rotating through. So we'll see, because that might spread people out more. I actually was looking forward to that originally. Now I'm kind of like, I wonder if that's going to spread people out.
Yeah.
But it's also might just be that everyone will pick the same one because it's the easiest one to do, and maybe that'll make it easier. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. We have hero talents we're going to go over, so we're going to jump into these pretty quickly tonight. We're going to be covering the rogue trees and the prot warrior trees that are out currently. So
Yes. Yeah.
go ahead and take it away, Bio.
So first we're gonna start with the it is the outlaw and subtlety trickster. Me and Buck went through this a couple weeks back, just cause, and you know what? Like, I think the gameplay is interesting. I just think I missed the mark a little bit. But we'll get into it. The first node is Unseen Blade. So Feint now grants 2 combo points and quickly slashes with an Unseen Blade, dealing 70% of attack power, damage to nearby enemies struck. Target struck or faced for 5 seconds. Phased enemies take 5% more damage from you and cannot parry your attacks. I don't know. Like, we went through it. Like, the more I think about it, the more I don't mind it. I think it's a little weak, but I think the adding Feint to do damage is interesting. Personally. And then we'll go down to the left tree, and we got Surprising Strikes. Attacks that generate combo points deal 25% increased critical strike damage to distracted targets. That's a weird one, because you don't really ever use Distract anymore as a rogue, not really. So that kind of makes you put into rotation to do damage, which is interesting. Because, yeah, so now you're using Feint for damage, using Distract for increased crit damage. It's interesting. I think it's cool, but I don't know if it's gonna be great, you know. Going down, we have a choice node here. We have So Tricky. So tricks the trait threat redirect duration is increased to 1 hour, which is actually pretty cool. I like that. Blind, or the other one, Blind and Shroud Concealment has a 10% reduced cooldown, and Pickpocket and Sap have a 10 yard increased range. Now the blindness shroud concealment 10% reduced cooldown is not that much. I think the tricks of the trade being a 1 hour buff is actually pretty good. Then it's I think it's a better choice personally. Moving down, we have a nimble flurry. Killing spree deals 10% increased damage and has 10% reduced cooldown. Killing spree, I love killing spree. When I started playing my rogue back in the day, and I was playing in Cataclysm, and I played combat back before it was outlaw, and killing spree was so fun. Yeah. Going down to the middle nodes, we have another choice here. We have smoke. You take 5% reduced damage from phase targets, or you have mirrors. Faint reduces area damage taken by an additional 10%. I think that one. I think mirrors is better. So faint reduced damage taken by an additional 10%. That makes it reduce AOE damage taken by 50% with that. So that's not a bad defensive, especially because faint's such a short cooldown. Yeah. Going down, we have devious distractions. Killing spree applies phase to any target struck. So if you look at the unseen blade at the beginning, phase enemies take 5% more damage from you. So you can get some damage rolling on a lot of people that you hit with your killing spree. Going down, we have another choice node here called Cloud Cover. Distract now also creates a cloud of smoke for 10 seconds. Cooldown increased to 90 seconds. Attacks from within the cloud apply phased. Or we have no scruples. Finishing moves have a 10% increased chance to critically strike distracted targets. Having distract, I don't know if that's good, because it's kind of weird if you think about it, because they want you to use distract in the surprising sorry, which one was it? Yes, so the talent we went over, the surprise distract to attacks that generate combo points, deal 20% increased crit damage to distracted targets. Distract's like a 15-second, 20-second cooldown, I think. I think it misses the mark if you have to make your distract a 90-second cooldown. I mean, you're only getting it once every 90 seconds, as opposed to like moving on to the right side of the tree, we have Flawless Form. Unseen Blade and Killing Spree grants mastery for 5 seconds. Multiple applications may overlap. Just a little damage buff. Moving down, we have a choice node. We have 1,000 Cuts. Slice and Dice grants 10% additional attack speed and gives your auto attacks a chance to trigger Unseen Blade. Unseen Blade is just the AoE from Feint, so it's just AoE damage you potentially get, which is nice. Or you have Flicker Strike, which is taking area damage while Feint is active, or dodging while Evasion is active triggers Unseen Blade. I personally think 1,000 Cuts is better. The Flicker Strike's not bad, but I think the 1,000 Cuts is better. So that's what I picked. Moving down, we have 2 left. We have the last one on the right called Elaborate Twirl. It increases the duration of Flawless Form by 2 seconds. So I guess was Flawless Form the last one? Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I see it. Increase duration. You make it 7 seconds with Elaborate Twirl. That's nice. And the very last node is Coup de Grace, and after 4 strikes with the Unseen Blade, your next dispatch will be performed as a Coup de Grace, dealing 40% more damage. If the primary target is distracted, gain 5 stacks of Flawless Form. 5 stacks. You can get 5 stacks of Flawless Form. That sounds pretty cool. I do gotta say this now. Mastery is an awful stat for Outlaw, so I don't know how the Outlaw community will receive this. Because Mastery is just damage of your auto attacks. Like, have a chance to proc or do extra damage. It's really not a good stat for Outlaw apparently right now. So I mean, it could change. I think they The idea is cool. I don't know how well it was executed. I think the feint using some damage is interesting, and using distract is interesting as well. I just don't see it being the greatest. Oh, this next tree is for assassination and outlaw called Fatebound. It's an interesting mechanics, and as we get into it, you'll see it's very interesting. But we'll jump right into it. So the first node is called Hand of Fate. You flip a fate-bound coin each time a damaging finishing move consumes 5 or more combo points. Heads increase the damage of your attacks by 5%. Lasts until you flip tails. Tails deals cosmic damage to target struck. Each effect is increased by 20% each time your fate-bound coin flip matches the same outcome as the last flip. Interesting. Little RNG, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, the talents kind of work around that a little bit. We'll start to the left. We have a choice node between Chosen Revelry and Tempted Fate. Chosen Revelry, leech decreased by 0.5% for each time your fate-bound coin is flipped the same face in a row. That seems pretty weak. Alright, next we have Tempted Fate. You have a chance equal to your critical strike chance to absorb 10% of any damage taken, up to a maximum of chance of 40%. Yeah, interesting. Moving down, we have Deal Fate. Mutilate and Fan of Knives generate an additional combo point when they trigger Seal Fate. Pretty sure we'll get the Seal Fate eventually, I'm assuming. Yeah. Moving down, we have Deliver Doom. Damage dealt with your fate-bound coin flips tails is increased with 35% when flipped by an Envenom or a Rupture. That's some good damage. Middle tree, we have Mean Streak. Fate-bound coins flipped by Venom multiple times in a row are 33% more likely to match the same outcome as the last flip. Next is a choice node called Inevitability. Cold Blood now benefits your next 2 abilities, but only applies to Venom. Fate-bound coins flipped by these abilities are guaranteed to match the same face as the last flip. Or Destiny Defined. Weapon poisons have 5% increased application chance, and your fate-bound coins flipped have an additional 5% chance to match the same face as the last flip. So there's a lot of stuff just like trying to up your chances of flipping the same coin. Is the vibe I'm getting. On the right tree, we have another choice node, Inexorable March. You cannot be slowed below 70% of normal movement speed while your fate-bound coin flips have an active streak of at least 2 flips matching the same face. Or we have Death's Arrival. Shadow Step may be used a second time within 3 seconds with no cooldown. Just some movement stuff. I think the March is better for Mythic Plus. I think. I'm not sure. The Arrival's not terrible, but I don't know. I'll probably go with the March to be honest. Moving down, we have Threads of Fate. In Venom, critical strikes duplicate 20% of their damage to 2 additional nearby enemies. If there are no additional nearby targets, duplicate 20% of the primary target instead. So just increased damage for Venom, that's welcome. It's nice. Moving down, we have Double Jeopardy. Your first fate-bound coin flip after breaking stealth flips 2 coins that are guaranteed to match the same face. So then just load up those coin flips. And the last node is a Faithful Ending. When your fate-bound coin flips the same face for the 7th time in a row, the lucky coin grants 1% increase to all primary, secondary, and extra stats until you leave combat for 10 seconds. So I think for my vibe from this tree is I like it. I don't know how it'll work for assassination because I haven't seen it. Really, I don't want to test it, but I think it's cool. The coin flip animation in the game is interesting as well, but I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the best tree, but it's better than Trickster. I think so. Fatebound's better than Trickster. I think Fatebound has really good potential. I don't know. I'd have to really test it myself. I heard was watching people on Twitch that they don't like it for Outlaw because Fatebound revolves around like getting coin flips and then using cooldowns afterwards to try and get that 7th coin. Where for Outlaw you don't hold on to your cooldowns ever. Just how the talent works with keeping Adrenaline Rush up all the time. So, I mean, it probably isn't terrible, but people are just like thinking, it's just meh for Outlaw. I wouldn't say it's fantastic for Assassination either. I don't think it's bad, but yeah, it's just something you'll have to test when we get beta. So those are the 2 rogue trees out right now. I'm looking forward to the 3rd. But that being said, we'll jump into the warrior trees, and Buck will take it away.
All right, so moving on, we are covering the Colossus tree and the Mountain Thane tree for warrior. So let's start with the Colossus tree for protection warrior and arms warrior as well. Alright, so the first main core talent is Demolish. Unleash a series of precise and powerful strikes against your target, dealing a bunch of single target damage, probably close to about 750% of attack power damage there, and 519.2% of attack power damage to enemies within 8 yards of it. Deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets. While channeling Demolish, you take 10% less damage and are immune to stuns, knockbacks, and forced movement effects. You can block, parry, and dodge while using this ability, which that is an important thing for protection warrior, because a lot of tanks right now, if you do a cast, you cannot block, parry, or dodge anything, so it's dangerous to have any kind of a cast. And this is a 2-second channel. But so the fact that you'll be able to block and parry and dodge while you're doing that is excellent for Prot warriors.
Can you move while
I doesn't say.
I'm gonna say it doesn't because
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
But it's only 2-second channel that really shouldn't be too big of an issue.
Right.
Let's see. First talent on the left side is Martial Expert. Critical strike damage of your abilities is increased by 10%, and the amount of damage blocked by your critical blocks is increased by 10%. So, not too bad there.
Yeah.
Then over here, the next talent down is a choice node. You have One Against Many, which causes Shockwave, Cleave, Whirlwind, and Revenge to deal 5% more damage per target affected, up to 5. So you get up to 25% more damage on those abilities there, which is not bad at all.
Yeah.
Or the other option is Arterial Bleed, which is Colossal Might, increases the damage of your rend and deep wounds by 2% per stack. Now, I think that for Prot Warrior, definitely going to be taking Arterial Bleed here, just because Shockwave you're only using as a stun, you're not really using that for damage. And Revenge, I just don't really use Revenge very much as a Prot Warrior. I probably should use it more, but I just don't use it that much. But Colossal Might, those bleeds, that rend and deep wounds, that's usually my second highest damage on my Prot Warrior. So I really like that Arterial Bleed, especially since that can be essentially 20% increased damage.
Yeah.
Because as you'll see later on, you can get that up to 10 stacks instead of just 5.
Right.
So the next talent is Practice Strikes. Mortal Strike and Shield Slam damage is increased by 20%. Can't complain about that. I use Shield Slam all the time. It's actually pretty nice getting a 20% increase on that. Moving on to the middle section, Colossal Might. Colossal Might increases the damage dealt by your next Demolish by 10%. Mortal Strike and Shield Slam grant a stack of Colossal Might, stacking up to 5 times. Later on, you'll find out we can actually increase that to 10 stacks, which means 100% increase on your next Demolish. And I know for Prot Warriors, Shield Slam definitely easily going to be able to get 10 stacks of that built up almost every single time. I know from what you're telling me about Mortal Strike, it sounds like that's a low enough cooldown as well. You should easily be able to get that up to 10 stacks and get that 100% damage bonus.
Yeah.
The next talent is Tide of Battle. Colossal Might also increases the damage of your Overpower and Revenge by 5% per stack. So that's a lot of damage. That's 50% increase on Overpower and Revenge. So both of those are really, really nice, and that'll continue to last until you use the next Demolish. So that's actually a nice increase in those abilities. Then the final talent in the middle is Precise Might. Mortal Strike and Shield Slam critical strikes grant an additional stack of Colossal Might. So that's going to help you build that up even faster, which is going to be really, really nice. On the right side, we have another choice node, which is Bone Shaker. Shockwave stun duration is increased by 2 seconds, or Earthquaker. Shockwave also knocks enemies into the air, and its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. I think I would be taking, for Mythic Plus, most likely going to take Earthquaker to get that 5-second reduction. I think it's just a bit more important than to have the extra stun duration, just because you're typically just using your stun as a way to stop a cast. Now, it depends on what the dungeon is, because you might have something in there where, it's going to cast the same ability just over and over and over, like Neltharis. I could see wanting to run Bone Shaker on something like Neltharis, whenever you have all those little fiery embers that are just constantly casting over and over and over. Get a stun rather than just stopping one set and then they're immediately casting. You get a stun for, I think, 5 seconds. I think it's a 3 seconds shockwaves. I think it's a 3-second stun naturally. So then you increase that by 2 seconds, 5-second stun. Pretty strong.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I think I'm going to want to take that 5-second reduced cooldown. The next talent on the right is another choice node. Back-to-back choice nodes here. You have No Stranger to Pain, which is total damage prevented by Ignore Pain, increased by 15%. Love it. Or you can take Rally, which, taking damage, has a chance to give you a second wind for 2 seconds. And second wind, what exactly is that again?
That's when you're out of combat, you regenerate health every second.
Hmm.
So,
Hey, that doesn't seem very strong to me.
yeah, so it's 60% of your health every 1 second. So you get, what, 12% of your health on a low chance to proc. I'd take the Ignore Pain easily.
Yeah, I agree, because Ignore Pain does a lot of, a lot of,
What are the chances you take damage and you don't need the second wind? It's a waste.
yeah, no. Ignore Pain is very, very big for Prot Warrior as well, so I'm definitely going to take No Stranger to Pain.
Yeah.
Now, as far as for arms, does arms have Ignore Pain?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I would take No Stranger Pain as well as on arms. Yeah.
Gotcha. Alright, so then the last talent on the right is Mountain of Muscle and Scars. You deal 5% more damage and take 5% less damage. And your size is increased by 5%. The ladies love it.
Yeah. And so do you.
Yep. Let's see. So, the last talent here in Colossus is Dominance of the Colossus. Colossal Might now stacks up to 10 times, so there's that double stacking there. And if you would gain a stack of Colossal Might and are already at max stacks, the cooldown of Demolish is reduced by 2 seconds. I like that they do that, because makes it so if you're max stacked out, you're waiting on Demolish, it's not just wasting procs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Enemies affected by Demolish take up to 10% more damage from you and deal up to 10% less damage to you for 10 seconds, based on the number of stacks of Colossal Might consumed by Demolish. So I'm gonna guess probably it's 1% for each stack of Colossal Might that you have, based off those numbers. But overall, I mean, that tree doesn't look terrible. It definitely has some nice advantages there. I do feel like it's going to be very strong single target. Potential AoE ability, but most of that stuff there is more helpful for single target, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. I do think arms with sweep and strikes can take really good effect of this Colossus tree. Hitting 2 targets,
Yep.
Like we were saying before, like Colossus looks good and Mount Thing is good. We have to look over Slayer at one point, but I think Colossus looks pretty good. I really like the Demolish ability. I hope it looks cool. I'm a
Yes,
very
that could.
big person on like visuals. I'm
Yep,
hoping Double looks awesome. It sounds like it. I mean, it looks like it while reading it.
I agree. Yeah, I think the main AoE thing as far as Prot Warrior goes, your biggest help to AoE on this tree is the arterial bleed, just having the extra 20% on, or potentially up to 20% on rend and deep wounds. That could maybe make it compete AoE wise, but I think you
Yeah.
find Colossus use more for raid builds and single target builds.
Yeah.
Moving on to Mountain Thane, which is for Fury and Prot Warriors. So our core ability here is called Lightning Strikes. Damaging enemies with Thunderclap, Revenge, Raging Blow, or Execute has a 25% chance to also strike one with a lightning bolt, dealing 60% of attack power and nature damage. And if you're using Thorum's Might, it'll also generate 5 rage. Lightning strikes occur 50% more often during Avatar. There's no proc rate on there, so I'm not exactly sure how often you get it, but 25% chance should be pretty often you're getting these going
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
On the left side, we have Call of Thunder. Storm Strike or Nature Damage causes your abilities, or Storm Strike or Nature Damage your abilities deal is increased by 5%. Storm Strike damage ignores armor, so that's kind of nice. Thunderclap damage increased by 50%. Seismic Reverberations improves Thunderclap as well as Whirlwind. So moving on down, this kind of explain what Storm Strike damage is. Thunder Blast. Your Shield Slam, and Bloodthirst have a 35% chance to grant you Thunder Blast, stacking up to 2 charges. What Thunder Blast is it causes your next Thunderclap to become a Thunder Blast that deals Storm Strike damage. So that's going to ignore armor and do a nice chunk of damage there.
Yeah.
So that's, can't complain about that. Moving down to the next section is you have a choice node here between Steadfast as the peaks, which causes Victory Rush to increase your maximum health by 10% for 5 seconds, or Keep Your Feet on the Ground, where Thunder Blast reduces damage you take by 8% for 5 seconds. Steadfast as the peaks is okay, but I definitely am going to take the Keep Your Feet on the Ground, because having Thunder Blast just reducing damage by 8% to multiple targets, that's going to be very, very nice. Defensively, from a Prot Warriors standpoint, I'd rather take that than just a little bit of extra health every so often.
I personally think the Victory Rush one's better for Fury than using the damage reduction, especially in PvE.
Let's say I
But
don't feel like you don't
you don't
use Thunderclap very often, right?
yeah, like it's in the class tree, but like it doesn't spread like bleeds because you don't have rend and stuff, so it's like not used as much.
Yeah.
But that being said, Mountain Thing it might become very useful. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. It could become a stronger thing for you to use, but
Oh, actually thinking about it, because if Thunderclap becomes like in your rotation like often, the 8% damage reduction is not that bad. Like it's decent to have.
true. Yes.
Because like the Victory Rush heals. What you know what?
Well, and
Victory
Victory
Rush
Rush is
heals you
like,
for 30% of your health.
yeah, but it's also like a 20, at least I know for Prot, it's like a
25.
24, yeah, 25-second cooldown.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that, I
Yeah,
feel like
10%.
Thunder Blast, you're going to get Thunder Blast more often,
Oh,
probably.
for sure. Yeah, I was on the fast. I was thinking Steadfast, but I honestly think the Thunder Blast one's better.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
So then moving on to the middle section here, the first talent is called Ground Current. Lightning Strikes also deal 30% of attack power to enemies near their target. Damage reduced beyond 5 targets. So right there, it makes those Lightning Strikes become AoE, which is excellent. Absolutely love that.
Yep. Yep.
The next one is a choice node between Storm Bolts, which causes Storm Bolt to also hit 2 additional nearby targets, stunning them for 2 seconds. Or Storm Shield, which causes intervening a target to grant them a shield for 5 seconds that absorbs magic damage equal to 3 times your armor. Unless there is some magic ability that is going to target people and you have time to try to intervene in between, I really just don't see that Storm Shield being useful at all. Storm Bolt, however, turning your single target stun into an AoE stun that hits 3 targets, that's excellent. Absolutely excellent.
You-
I know for me, I don't even run intervene as a prot warrior, so I don't see any situation I would ever take storm shield in. Like I said, unless there's a raid build where, hey, we need this person to be able to handle a boatload of magic damage, and you have to use it at a specific time. It just that just feels like a very niche ability.
Yeah,
that you're not going to use 99% of the time.
I was first thinking, oh, the intervene's really good for PvP. Yeah, if you're facing casters, but at the same time, sending 3 targets with 1 Stormbolt is like kind of crazy. I mean, it depends on like how big the range is, like how far they spread apart and how much it hits them. But
Right.
PvP wise, I think the Stormbolt is even better as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unless you're facing like a Fire Mage Industrial Lock where they're having the same burst and you can just intervene, that'd be nice. But yeah, as far as PvE goes, I think Stormbolt is better.
For sure. Yeah. And let's see here. So then the next talent is also a choice node. Between Gathering Clouds, which causes your attacks to trigger lightning strikes 30% more often. Love it. Or Thorim's Might, which causes lightning strikes to generate 5 rage. Revenge, Raging Blow, and execute damage are increased by 15%. I think as a prot warrior, I'm taking Gathering Clouds all day long. Getting those extra lightning strikes with the AoE damage. Rage, honestly, as a prot warrior, we generate so much rage. We don't need the extra rage from this.
Yeah, it's like Fury generates rage like crazy as well.
Now, I don't know for you, Revenge and Raging Blow and execute damage increase by 15%. I don't know if that would be better for you guys, for Fury Warrior, compared to the Lightning Strike ones.
Raging Blow is kind of like so Bloodthirst, Raging Blow, your fillers, and you spend your rage on Rampage. But Raging Blow does good damage. I mean, executes good damage. I don't really know because like your texture lightning strike, you're dual wielding, so it's even more of a chance to get those to proc.
Right.
That's a tough one. I think I'd probably go with Gathering Clouds. I don't know. I think dual wielding with your auto attacks to proc that's better.
Well,
I think.
Now the question I would have, and it might be, but when it says your attacks, is it considering auto attacks as part of that, or is it just your abilities?
That being said, Fury Warriors never have downtime. You always have Bloodthirst or Raging Blow. Like you always have spells going.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm taking Gathering Clouds. And
so.
as far as Prot Warrior, I'm definitely taking Gathering Clouds.
Yeah.
So then moving to the right side, Strength of the Mountain causes shield slam. Damage should be increased by 20%. Absolutely love it. Bloodthirst and Rampage damage increased by 10%. So that's just nice damage increase there.
Yeah.
Then we have a choice node, choosing between Flashing Skies, which causes a chance for lightning strikes to critically strike is increased by 5%, and a critical strike damage is increased by 10%, which is not bad. However, the other choice is Valajar Training. Lightning strikes reduce the cooldown of Ravager by 1 second. Now, Ravager is like a minute and a half cooldown.
Yep.
Now, my thought process is having Gathering Clouds in combination with Valajar Training could be super strong, because you're already going to be triggering lightning strikes 30% more often with Gathering Clouds, which just means that you're reducing that cooldown on Ravager even faster, and Ravager does so much damage.
Yes. So there's a talent for Fury Warriors called Anger Management, and every 20 rage you spend, it reduces the cooldown of Ravager by 1 second.
Right. Yeah, so for Prot Warrior, we basically have the same thing, but it reduces the cooldown on Avatar instead.
Okay. Yeah, so that anger management reduced by 1 second, and your Valajar training 1 second, like you could probably get Ravager like a 45-second cooldown if you're lucky.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be close to there.
Because one Rampage reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds.
Yeah, I would say you're looking at definitely a minute cooldown max. I think it's because you're probably getting 30 seconds pretty easily off of that.
Yeah.
So the final talent on the right side is Burst of Power. Lightning strikes have a 20% chance to make your next 2 shield slams or Bloodthirst have no cooldowns. So that's really nice. Some good single target built in there. Plus Shield Slam is our main. Well, Shield Slam and Thunderclap are our main rage generators. That's got a 20% proc chance. So that's not bad in there at all.
Yeah.
And then the last talent here, the capstone talent, is Avatar of the Storm. Casting Avatar grants you 2 charges of Thunder Blast and resets the cooldown of Thunderclap. Right there's some nice damage reduction that's going to be built in, plus the extra damage from Thunderclap ignoring armor and all that good stuff. While Avatar is not active, Lightning Strikes have a 10% chance to grant you Avatar for 4 seconds. So that's also a nice thing.
Yeah.
Get that to proc every once in a while. I'm thinking we're going to be getting quite a few Lightning Strikes going on quite often. I'm curious what the proc rate is going to look like on that.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to have a lot of Lightning Strikes hitting. I really like this Mountain Thane talent tree. Just purely from the standpoint of one, visual. I love the visual of it. Just the lightning and everything. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But I think you're just going to be having a bunch of AoE damage out of this, honestly. I think it's got a really strong potential for just passive AoE damage. That's the other thing that I noticed is I don't feel like it really is going to affect your rotation at all. Everything's pretty passive as far as the abilities go. I feel like you're just going to be doing the normal natural rotation, and everything is just going to be getting buffed as you go.
Yep.
I'm kind of excited to play Mountain Thane just to see the look of it.
I'm honestly debating on even trying Warrior a little bit because I love the demolish ability. I think it looks really cool.
Right, yeah. Now, I think both these trees are pretty good. They have a lot of high points and not a lot of low points in them. So I think two of the better trees that we've seen.
I agree.
But anyway, I think that is going to be it for us tonight.
Yeah.
So, as far as our weekend wows, what have you been up to?
Just keys on my rogue and my monk. That's all I've been doing. Just keep those 2 up.
Nice.
I was debating on playing some Death Knight, but honestly, I'm kind of feeling a little bit of Warrior now. Seriously, it looks like a lot of fun and baiting on playing it a little bit. Slayer, I'm gonna have to look into Slayer too, but yeah, I'm just mostly rogue and monk stuff.
Nice. I've been doing a lot on my different characters. I've got like 7 characters. We kind of talked a little bit earlier, but I've kind of swapped where you're like focused on 2 characters and I'm like doing a bunch of characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, got my priest keys done. Got all my weeklies done. Got to do my demon hunter tonight. The world boss, as we did test out earlier, has been fixed.
Oh, okay.
So it is giving loot. So I'll have to go through probably maybe tomorrow afternoon or Monday morning and try to get my world boss kills on my lower item level tunes. But yeah, that's about it. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, you guys can comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let us know what you want to see next for the hero trees, what you want us to cover. You can comment on the video at my YouTube channel, which is Buckblind the Demon Hunter, where all these are posted at. Or on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Buckblind, or hit me up at Twitter at BuckblindDH. And Bio, what are your socials?
QQ_Bioshock for Twitch and YouTube.
There we have it, folks. We will see you next time when we cover some other hero talents and maybe have some other WoW news. We'll see what we get.
Yep.
Have a good one, folks.
Later.